Here in New York, ranking member of the House Select Committee on Intelligence, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California. Congressman, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You agree with Cory Booker and Nancy Pelosi that Jeff Sessions should step down. On what grounds do you make that argument?
Well, it's a conclusion I reach reluctantly. I think it's a big deal when you ask someone like the Attorney General to step down, but I found his explanation simply not credible. You don't, I think, treat a visit in your office by the Russian ambassador as something casual, something not memorable. And when you're asked about your contacts with the Russians in the Senate, that should have been disclosed. I think he knew it should have been disclosed. You know, proving intent is one thing, and I know you were asking Senator King about, is this perjury? As a former prosecutor, that's a hard thing to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But that's not the standard here. The standard is, can he carry out his responsibilities with this cloud hanging over him, with, you know, just the breadth of the Russia investigation, which reaches many parts of the department? I don't think he can. I don't think we'll have the confidence that the decisions are being made, and the recusal that he announced is only a partial recusal. It would not, for example, necessarily cover Mike Flynn, whose conduct in terms of his conversations with the ambassador went after the election as well as before. So I don't think the recusal is enough, and as Cory Booker was saying, and I completely agree, judging him by his own standard that he demanded of other people seeking confirmation, he didn't meet his own standard.
The Attorney General said yesterday that this meeting, once he did acknowledge it yesterday, was fairly routine, that the ambassador sought a meeting with him, Jeff Sessions took it, there were other staffers in the room. Are you bothered by the meeting itself or by the Attorney General's failure to disclose it under oath?
You know, I think both are troubling, considering this is taking place at a time when the Russians are engaged in an active measures campaign to disrupt our election. But, you know, he is one of the most prominent and was one of the most prominent proxies for the president, the head of his national security team. And the suggestion, as he was making over the last 24 hours, that, no, he was being met with in his capacity as a member of the Armed Services Committee, simply not credible. There's only one reason Kislyak went to see him among all the other members of that committee. It had nothing to do with how many planes we're buying or what you know, our military is doing. It had to do with wanting to curry favor or learn information from someone who had potentially the next president's ear.
So there are a couple ways in which the question about recusal, there are a number of people who say, well, he should not just recuse but step down. Putting that aside, there's the question of the future of the investigation, right? So do you think that the administration, whoever steps in now, we have an acting deputy, we're going to eventually have a deputy AG. Are they able to conduct this investigation in a proper way, or are you one of many who thinks we must have an independent counsel? And if we have to have an independent counsel, how do we get there? What are the political circumstances? Because that is the question. It's not a legal thing. It's a political thing. What has to happen for that climate for the administration to kind of feel like it has no choice but to go along?
Well, I personally think we're there already, that these are the kind of extraordinary circumstances where the public is not going to have confidence in someone that is not fully independent here. After all, these are allegations that concern the president's organization itself. So I think we're there already. I also think, you know, part of the decision about whether you appoint a special prosecutor is have the facts ripen to the point where you really have to look at a potential criminal prosecution. I think in the case of Flynn, we are at that point where it needs to be seriously evaluated, and we need to have someone truly independent make that determination.
And after your Intelligence Committee hearing yesterday, you came out and said that you don't believe the FBI, Director Comey, is giving you the amount of information that he should be giving you guys. How do you get that information from the FBI if they're not willing to give it?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's not that I thought his answers were incomplete or I didn't like them. It's that with respect to many of the inquiries that we had that are germane to the investigation, he simply said, I won't answer that question. And look, he's going to go back to the department. He is committed to coming back to the committee. I hope when he comes back to the committee, he has a different answer for us, because we can't do our job if the FBI is going to tell us, we'll tell you about this, we won't tell you about that. We need to know, what have they investigated, if anything, what leads have they chased down, what remains to be done, have they done an adequate job, what do we need to investigate that they haven't. We can't do that without their cooperation. So I hope they come back with a different answer. If they don't, we'll have to explore other remedies. A subpoena is one of them. But this cannot stand, or we represent to the American people that we've really done our job.
What's your analysis of why Director Comey is behaving the way he is with your committee?
Well, I don't want to speak for him. I'll let the department speak for itself. But I think that the FBI always wrestles with their desire to make prosecutions and the needs of protecting the nation's security. And from my point of view, protecting the nation's security comes first. I'm a former prosecutor. I can well understand wanting to make sure that witnesses aren't interviewed inconsistently, and that poses a problem for me making a case at trial. That is all, in my view, secondary to making sure that our country is protected from any foreign influence, from any efforts at extortion or blackmail, any compromising material, any illegal communications. We need to know the length and the breadth of what Russia has done, because one of the key conclusions of the intelligence community is they will do it again to us. They're already doing, as Angus King pointed out, they're doing this in France and Germany and elsewhere. And the only way to inoculate ourselves is to fully understand what they have done here.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff of California, ranking member of the Intel Committee. Great to have